My next guest I had the privilege to sit down with is a social media influencer who loves to promote fitness and influence others to be the best versions of themselves. Within this episode, we discussed fitness, we talked about mental health, and also their role as a social media influencer. I hope that you enjoy this episode.
Dem Bois, Dem Bois, amplifying, transmitting, color voices, yeah, we here making noise, making noise, Visibility equals possibility, you know we them boys,
Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his. My next guest is a social media influencer who loves to promote fitness and influence others to be the best versions of themselves. LaShaun, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here, even though your name is LaShaun and my name is Sean. But that's all right. I still love you all the same. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for folks, your name and pronouns?
Okay, so I'm LaShaun. I like to be called LaShaun Noel. I don't know where I got that from, but that is my first and middle name. And my pronouns are he, him, his.
Great. Thank you so much. And you don't know where that name came from. I'm going to ask you that in a second, though. But where are you located right now?
I'm in Chicago, Illinois right now.
Oof, Chicago. We was just talking about that because while we're recording this, it's definitely going to be a different day from when it's come out. But you in the wintertime in Chicago. Good luck, brother. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the name LaShaun, how did that name choose you?
That name came about when I was looking for what I thought was genuine, what I thought fit me. And honestly speaking, I stole it from my aunt. Because I thought it was a nice unisex name. And I didn't know LaShaun was popular because after I got my name changed, like on my TikTok, everybody that had that name LaShaun, after they read the title, it was LaShaun says, congratulations, or LaShaun bakes pies, it says, congratulations, and so stuff like that. But I got it from my aunt. And she's like one of my favorite people. So I was just cool with that.
Did she give you that name or she was saying it or she said that's what you should change your name to? Like, how did that go with your aunt?
So I found out what her middle name was because I never knew what her middle name was. And it popped up in a conversation. I was like, Sean, I like that. Let me take that. And I took it. And then when she found out I got my name changed to LaShaun, it was natural. Like she was like, okay, LaShaun. So I think she just feels like she named a child.
So she feel like she had something to do with that. So she didn't mind that you took her last name.
No, she didn't. She didn't mind that I took her name. So it was just like, yes. And then everybody knows her middle name. So it's like, it just flowed. And I wanted it to be within the family too, because I also have a twin. And his name ends in ION. So the LaShaun and An stayed like, I want to keep it like that because I didn't want to change it to something else and it'd be so far-fetched that it's like, that's your twin? But yeah,
so
definitely.
So LaShaun Noel. So where did the Noel come from?
Google. Google.
Okay.
I was looking up meaningful middle names. And before I decided to name myself LaShaun, I tried to butcher my first and middle name from before I got it legally changed. I was playing Scrabble. And what I came up with was Jamar, which is a combination of my middle and old first name. So I got the J-A and then the M-A-R from the middle name. But Noel it just had a ring to it. It just honestly had a ring to it. LaShaun Noel had a ring to it. And the more I said it, the more I was like, I'm feeling this. I really, really like this. And then I thought about changing my last name, but then a last name is a last name to me, but also it's like a legacy in a sense. So I didn't want to change that. So that's how I came to LaShaun.
I like that. Well, that's unique. You snuck and stole it from your aunt when you figured it out from what her name was. I like that though. We all have our ways of how we come up with our names, and that's creative, right? And it wasn't a derivative from your birth name, and so that's kind of cool, right? And looking at you. You know, folks can't see you, but they see your photo on the graphics. But you look like a LaShaun. Like you literally look like that's what your name is. Like that, it fits you. So it's almost like it. That name chose you because it fits you. That's kind of cool. I like that.
I never heard it before. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for real. You definitely look like a LaShaun. And it's funny because you said you didn't want to change your last name. I often thought, I want to change my last name actually. And you say it's a legacy, but for me, it doesn't matter. Like I feel like it's a name that doesn't connect with me. And so like eventually I want to so my name is Sean Aaron. And so my son named me Aaron. He gave me the middle name because he said everybody should have a middle name. And then my last name, I'm going to drop that and just go by Sean Aaron. And so I like that you identify with some parts of it and some parts you don't. So some things are new and then some things are old and you okay with that. I like that. And it fits you. So you did good. Yeah, for sure. So you wanna kind of like share with us your transition story from beginning into where you are now?
Cool, boy. Okay. So I'm just gonna start off by saying this. Just as I don't sugarcoat on TikTok, I won't sugarcoat here, because I feel like everybody has this perception or point of view that everything can be peaches or cream or just like straightforward when it's not. So transitional wise, the clinic that I started out at was Planned Parenthood, which I didn't know because I thought that was like for parenthood. So Planned Parenthood, and then I'm currently at Howard Brown. So how I came about transitioning, basically when I was younger, since we're from start to finish, when I was younger, I have this memory that just still sticks. I asked my mom in the parking lot of Target when I was like in first, second grade, and she swears it's my imagination, but I don't think that people would remember something so vivid like that if it was just imagination. But I asked her in the parking lot of Target, could I change myself? And that's what my language was at however old you are in second grade, change myself. And then from there, with that memory, I'll say growing up, I was never attracted to boys or girls. Like whenever people would have crushes in school, for me, it was just like, why do y'all like each other? Like it was like that. But that also, I'll say, before I continue with the timeline, me not knowing who I was as a person messed with my sexuality. So I didn't really engage with people how they would growing up or in high school, or at least my first year of high school. So second grade, and then like early childhood, I was a little confused. I always was wearing jumpsuits and things like that because I didn't like tight clothes, and I am a twin. So my mom never dressed us up in pink and blue or like had girly clothes for me and just like boy clothes for him. Like we were always matching and stuff. So that was a thing. But fifth grade, sixth grade, I started questioning myself. Like when you go through puberty. So when I was going through puberty or whatever, it was certain things that I didn't like. Once again, the clothes were like a big factor for me. I couldn't stand tight jeans. I couldn't stand like those capri pants, capri pants that stopped a little under the ankle. I mean, a little underneath the calf. And then, like, there was this one moment. It hit me the other day, and I recognized the feeling of how I felt. It felt like I was basically not necessarily I wasn't being harassed or bullied, these group of girls, they tried to make me kiss a boy. And this is when I realized I didn't like boys. They tried to make me kiss a boy. And when I was explaining it on TikTok, I said that I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Like you would have thought somebody was trying to snatch me. But I genuinely didn't want to do that. And I was also being forced to do it. Even though it didn't happen, it was like the interaction was close to. So that happened. So I discovered I didn't like boys. And then after that, what occurred? So middle school, there was a lot of confusion in middle school. My mom was always doing my hair and other things. And I didn't really have like the freedom to do what I wanted to do. Just because I was having things done for me. And it was saying that, like, when you're growing up, of course, you're not going to have things that you want to do for yourself because you don't have the money to do it. You don't have, like, you're living under your parents' roof, basically. And so with saying that, high school came, got a little bit more leeway. Me and my mom had a conversation about me coming out as trans to my social worker. And I feel like that was a little awkward only because with that situation, I just felt like I didn't say anything wrong and there was nothing harmful said during the therapy session that I had outside of, I think I want to transition, which I feel like she broke her practice, what she told my mom. So that was the first time I came out as trans. I think I came out 3 times. And the third time was the final time. But I had another incident with my sibling's aunt where I was so happy to share that I'm learning who I am as a person. And her initial response was, "So you want a penis, basically?" And I said, "No, it's more than that. It's about comfort." And me and my mom had a conversation again. And this is when she started letting me wear what I wanted to wear, which was sweatpants, loose clothes, hoodies, and all of that to school. Because she asked me why wasn't I comfortable with myself, because that's what I said when my twin told on me on accident. But she asked me why was I comfortable and why did I want to transition, why I felt that way. And I just said, like, I just want to be accepted. I feel like I'm finding myself, and the clothes aren't it for me. Like, that was that. And then just to double back to freshman year, I came across a transitional video, and that's where my research began. And it was on Facebook. It was Jayceon's transitional video, his 1-year video. And for me, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing to see what medicine could do. And also just within research, it was mind-blowing to see like what I was reading, like testosterone, what is FTM, like trans, what is trans? Like I was breaking everything down to the point where if I was taking notes on it, you would have thought that it was like for something that I was studying. Like that's how deep into it I was. But the last time I came out was when I graduated. And when I graduated, I basically said, this is how I'm going to live my life, because I did do a presentation in class before I graduated, and it was Finding J. Before I changed my name, it was Finding J. And I don't know what made me do it, but we were prompted to write something about ourselves as like our project. So within that presentation too, I had a picture. I did something. I don't know. I think this is when I learned about graphic design. but I learned how to like make a silhouette of myself with my picture. And I put a question mark as like the ending of it. Like, I don't know what my future is going to look like, but I had an idea. Knowing well that I was going to transition, that's just what I presented to them. But yeah, when I graduated, I texted this paragraph to my mom saying, I've done my research. I've lived my life for how you've raised me for the 18 years of my life or whatever like that. And I know what I want to do with myself, and it's transitioning. And her response was like, oh, she said, okay, we're going to have a conversation. So we had a conversation, and the conversation was something that I didn't want to hear, honestly speaking. And I would say that to say she brought up like religion and stuff. She asked me if God was the reason. No, she said, do you feel like God made you the wrong way? And I said, yes. But now in present terms, I just say to people when they ask me or they mention religion, everybody's path is different. And for those who are like religious, God doesn't put everyone on the same path. Sometimes he puts you through something so you can experience it. So I've already experienced that life. Now I'm here where I want to be. But we had that conversation, and I just left it at that. And then there was, like, if I'm going to give you like the real timeline, I moved out after an argument one day with an ex who allowed me to transition in her house. But me and her broke up because she liked girls. But grateful for her because she opened up her space for me to be myself, because she didn't like what I was saying to her about how I felt living under my mom's roof and not being able to live how I wanted to live, and basically not being able to express myself how I want to. So that happened, and that's when I started transitioning. So October 7th of 2018 is when I came out, and then October 7th of 2019, I had my first shot, and then another date would be December 16th of 2022, I got my name legally changed, and July 14th of 2022, I got my top surgery. So those are like some key timeline dates. But other than that, my transition was not easy. I moved around a lot, and that's like, if I'm being real honest and just vulnerable. That's why I'm back in Chicago now. Because being in Florida, though, that's not the place for trans people, especially with the laws that are changing and what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, like, it's not all peaches and cream. I remember there was a time I had to deal with a policy change with insurance. Like, I didn't think I knew I was going to learn how to navigate that, but I ended up finding resources like GoodRx. Howard Brown was one of many places that helped me get established. And if I could honestly compare Planned Parenthood to Howard Brown, I would say that Howard Brown has a little bit more structure, especially with being in Chicago. Howard Brown has some structure. And there's a lot of resources out there that I wish I would have used or known about, but I'm making my way.
Nice.
Hi there, I'm Mike, and I'm the creator of Trans Mess Stories. When I was at the start of my transition, I searched for uplifting stories of people who had questioned their gender identity, gone through their transition, and come out stronger. I needed direction and a light at the end of the tunnel. Trans Mess Stories is my way of paying it forward. It's the resource I wish I'd had, a space full of real, positive, and anonymous transition stories from trans masculine individuals, offering clarity and hope for anyone navigating their journey. If you're on the transmasculine spectrum, I'd love for you to share your story. And if you know someone who could use some direction, send them over to transmaskstories.com to explore dozens of transition stories. All right, that's all. Enjoy the show now. Cheers.
I want to ask you, go back a little bit, because you said when you were in the second grade, you told your mom that you wanted to change yourself. Do you think you, at that age, now reflecting back of you saying that, do you think you knew what that meant at that time?
Honestly speaking, I feel like I knew what it meant, but I didn't have the language or the knowledge to actually say transition. Because I feel like kids know themselves, and some people may disagree with it. And it wasn't a phase for me, especially like with life after that. But I feel like I knew what it meant, but I just didn't like have like the mind that I have now. And then there's no way to tell if a child actually knows what they're talking about until like you see it through, or unless they talk with like a therapist or something. But I also had a therapist for that as well. I didn't mention that. I had a therapist, and my mom kind of didn't like it when she had initially got the therapist for me to work on my communication, me and my twin, because we couldn't talk to her. But I was so open with the therapist that I had that I mentioned transitioning, and she started giving me all these resources. So yeah.
So your mom wanted you to communicate. She just didn't want you to communicate with nobody else. She wanted you to communicate with her. So you did communicate. So technically you did what she wanted you to do, right? And so
yeah, but it wasn't like communicate, but not communicate about transition.
Yeah, I got you. And so you have a twin. And so how does your twin respond to you and your transition?
So it's kind of, well, transition, I'll speak on the transition first. So transitional wise, he doesn't play any games at all. He used to disrespect me like when he was upset, but now that we're older and we live in two separate states, I think that's what's making our bond tighter. But ever since I told him I wanted to transition, he used to make jokes about like beating people up if they would like mess with me, all kind of stuff like that. So he's very protective. He's 6'5", I'm 5'4", by the way. So there's a major height difference. But yes, he's overprotective. We don't really talk much about my transition, but I did make a post thanking you for allowing me to be myself, and not necessarily taking away someone from him, but the fact that he grew up with me how I was, and it was a big change. I thanked him for letting me do that, because I feel like some twins may not support a twin doing that, because it's like that's all they knew. That's who they're connected with. But we have our connection regardless. So he's supportive.
That's cool. And you got a twin that's 6, you said 6'5"?
Yes.
It ain't no way y'all walking around with people like, y'all ain't no damn twins. Stop lying, right? Do y'all get that?
Everybody, when I say it, everybody said, you just got the short end of the stick. I said, yes, I did.
Oh, wow. That's a cheap ass joke right there. That's all right. That's all right. But you know what? I see you. So you a social media influencer, and I see you. I see you on social media trying on outfits, gym clothes, all of that. And to me, your personality is like you 6'5". Because I thought you was at least 5'10". I'm like, you got that charisma and that you just got that swag where you like, I'm tall in this. So had you not told me that, I wouldn't even know. So me and you about the same height, and that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah, it is fine.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit when I'm talking about masculinity and height, because you're talking about height right now, but I want to tie that to masculinity. Have you ever felt and I'll share my own experiences with this when you finish, but like, have you ever felt some type of way or less than in a masculine form because of your height?
So height has never affected my like masculinity. I will say growing up, I used to beg to be tall, especially with having a twin who is going through the male puberty. And at one point we were the same height, where I was taller than him, and we were the same height. And then he just like skyrocketed what, sophomore year. But I feel like masculinity is an aura. Something that you can't really see, but when you present that and you're confident in yourself and you just feeling yourself, really, like people will see that. So height didn't really do anything to me, especially like when it comes to me like being trans attracted, and like the girls, everybody's different heights. So truth be told, like I've dated women who were taller than me, and it didn't really affect me. Just as I've dated women who were shorter, and it still didn't make me. Maybe that may have gave me like a confidence boost. Okay, like my girl's short, but like even like either way it goes, the masculinity wasn't affected because I was secure within myself.
Thank you for saying that. I think I've always had a thing with being short. I'm the shortest person in my family. I'm even shorter than my grandmother. And so that has always bothered me. And it did affect, I always had some kind of like dysphoria around my height, because even going into spaces, whether it's the gym or locker rooms, especially after transitioning, I always felt like my height would give me away. People would just know that I'm not what they think that I am, and I'm not. They will know that I come from a trans experience because of my height. So that has always kind of been like my little trigger point about myself. And I won't say that it would affect my masculinity per se, because the way I carry myself, and just like I love that you said masculinity is an aura. I love that, right? And so the way I carry myself, and when I walk into spaces, I'm kind of stocky too, so won't nobody really fuck with me anyway. But it's that, hey, you got that something about you, right? But it was always just something self-conscious, right? I'm like, yeah, but I'm short, right? But now that I'm older, I don't know how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
24. I turned 25 in January.
25. Oh. Damn, I missed that age. I'm actually 43. 40. How old am I? I'm 43. I'll be 44.
How did that be like 30 or 28?
Bless your heart. Thank you. I appreciate it. But as I grow older, I'm realizing that height, that's just whatever, right? And just like you said, I'm realizing that my height don't matter, for one. And then it doesn't affect my masculinity. It doesn't affect who I am as a person. And everybody comes in all different shapes, sizes, heights. I've seen cisgender men shorter than me. Like, it's just, right? Everybody is different. We, as human beings, we're not meant to be the same. Right? We are not meant to be. You a twin, and you and your twin is not even the same. Right? And so it's like, we are not meant to be the same as people. And so, yeah, I'm still working on it. So
the world would be like black if we were all the same.
Yeah, right. I don't want to be you, and I don't want you to be me, right? We meant to be individuals, and that's how we get experiences, and we learn different things, and because we're different, right? That's how we get different food, different genres of music, movies, all of that, right? Because we are different. And so I'm learning that. I won't say that it's easy. Sometimes I have my moments, right? Especially like when I'm shopping. I'm like, damn, they don't got the 30 lamps. I need to.
Now that's what I'll complain about.
Yeah, it's like all these damn 34s and 32s, I can't fit them, right? So it's like, it's only when it comes to that moment of like, damn, I need, something to fit me. But like, just wondering about that, like how we see ourselves and view ourselves, and how we think that, and sometimes what we see on the inside, other people ain't even paying attention to, really. People ain't paying attention to that shit. It's just all about ourselves. So it's kind of like shed all that insecurity off of yourself, because you are who you are, and just and encapsulate masculinity, because it's an aura. I love that. I love that. That's what's up. And so now that you have transitioned, how has you and your mother's relationship been?
It's improved only because I think this at this point in my life, outside of my transition, like I need to be around family. And I think what also made the relationship improve was the simple fact that I was sharing my story on my social media, and she didn't know until somebody was like, "Isn't this your baby?" Like, but like I don't know what change. I don't think she ever had a change of mind. I think it was more so once again her making sure that I had a clear mental space or head. But once I realized that, and I guess I came around to voicing that I was the rebellious one, and that she only wanted the best for me, I think that's when things started to change. So after accountability and just sharing little bits and pieces of my transition with her, like the day I took my first shot, I sent her a text. The day I went to the clinic to even sign up for the shot, or to take testosterone and HRT, I sent her a text. Like I kept her in the loop with little bits and pieces, but I didn't do too much. But I also carry myself in a certain way that's still respectful of her as well. So, yeah, we've grown close. We're getting closer. I can say my mom's best friend. I don't think I've ever had a best friend, so I could say that mom's my best friend. So now we just got to work on the bonding part, getting outside, going to the movies. But she's definitely my best friend, and it's weird to say, I guess, because I've never said best friend to anybody, but like, yeah, that lady my best friend. She's cracking jokes and everything.
That's beautiful, actually, to hear. And that's a privilege, right? And I want you to build on that relationship. You said to build on the other parts of it, right? But I love that for you. And I know before we started recording, we were talking about that relationship with your mother and about how it was when you were younger and not and unsure about yourself compared to how it is now. You want to discuss that a little bit more about how your relationship was when you were younger?
So when we were, when me and my twin were younger, if I'm saying we, that's because me and my twin. But when I was younger, I wasn't like a mommy's boy, or I wasn't really clingy. Like whenever I needed my mom, of course, like if I fail, hurt myself, scratch myself, Mom, I'm screaming for my mother. But like just to talk about like life or anything, or like how my day was going at school, it would be like my day was okay, and I would go in my room. And I shared a room with my sister at the time, growing up. So just like growing up in general, from my younger years, like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, my mom was there when I needed her to be. But I will say, like, I'm a quiet person. So that also plays into the therapy thing we discussed. I'm a quiet person. I didn't really express myself. I always had therapists as well. So I think that played a role in me and her communication, because if I wasn't talking to her, I was always talking to a therapist. But after the age of 16, I kind of like went mute because of the traumatic situation I referenced. And it wasn't necessarily mute to people, it was mute to her. And I don't know why I did that. Maybe it was just my response to the situation. But I didn't even tell my therapist about what happened either. So that's kind of how that was. But I think that was like the tough spot with our relationship and communication. because I guess I didn't feel open enough to tell her like what happened. But now, I guess now that that part is over, if I'm being honest, I think from the conversations in the police station till now, even though there was a little friction when it came to me talking about transitioning, I think that's where the growth started, at the police station. Because she was kind of like literally the only person there for me. But yeah, our relationship, I don't know, that lady my best friend. We've been through it all. Literally through it all. Tussle, tussle, not really tussling. Like you know when you talk crazy to your mom, you a little pop on the lip and you can't do nothing but run upstairs and slam the door. That was me. But yeah, all I can say is, because I don't really have too much to say on it, is that I appreciate the personal growth, or I appreciate myself for allowing me to grow, because if I didn't choose to grow, I don't think our relationship would be how it is. And sometimes, and this is just for like anybody out there listening, sometimes you just have to listen and not have a response. And it's okay not to talk back, and just listen to how another person is feeling. So, yeah, that's how.
That's actually correct. I know that, and I want to say I commend your mother, because if you're 25, that means your mother was sending you to therapy at a much younger age. And in our community, Black communities, you know, therapy is a taboo still, kind of, really, right? And to send your kid there, like, you know, when I grew up, it was like you needed Jesus, you needed to go to church, or you needed to pray. My mom would always be like, well, what the Bible say, right? And so that was mostly what you heard when you had to fix yourself. But knowing that fucking mental health is real, yo, like folks need to, as adults, we need to take care of our mental health, and especially as children, you need to help your children take care of their mental health. And so I want to say I commend your mother for that, and sending you and your twin to therapy at a young age, right? And getting you on that track to mental health. So now as an adult, you know that it's possible to work, and it can help you as an adult. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. So from whatever platform that you're listening to this week's episode on, please be sure to give us 5 stars. And if there's something within this episode, whether it's the guest or something that I said, or maybe the guest said that resonated with you, be sure to go and leave us a comment on this episode, or leave us a comment on the show. So what happens is, if you feel like it resonated with you, I'm sure there's someone out there who hasn't even heard about Dem Bois Podcast. It may resonate with them, and actually it could save someone's life. To hear these stories, right? Because we believe that visibility equals possibility, but there isn't any possibility if we aren't visible. So if you go and leave comments, the more comments you leave, the more 5-star ratings you leave, then this podcast will be available to more folks to see. And so we want to be visible. We want to be out there. We want folks to know that we're here, and that our stories are out there for them to listen to. And so if you could do me a favor, please go ahead and rate the show or leave a comment. Until next time, see you on the next episode. For folks that's listening, and you just spoke to folks that are listening, but another piece I wanted to ask you is, if there's someone's parent that's listening right now, maybe they're not trans-identified, but they're somebody's parent, what would you say to someone listening about the importance of helping your children with their mental health when they're trying to figure themselves out?
So for a parent of someone who may be thinking or is going through it also, I would say that mental health is just simply important, because it's not always about being trans. It's about being clear in the mind first. Because when you're clear and sound, upstairs. I believe you can think logically. You can navigate and move how you please with making sound decisions that aren't impulsive or just, I would say, like, it wouldn't be a decision based off of influence either. So mental health is very important. And I would say, once again, if you're not clear and sound upstairs, you never know what a person is capable of doing if it's foggy up there. So that's just what I would say.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And so what are you doing now? Like, what does your support system look like now, even outside of your mother? So are you still currently seeking mental health services?
Yes, I do have a therapist, and I'm trying to get into weekly sessions just so that I can just be clear myself, because I'm a person who just happens to think so much that I am affected, like, physically by it. Like, at one point in time, for example, and this kind of had to do with the relationships, but the relationship affected my mental health. I went from 130 pounds to 90 pounds. And that's a big jump, a very big jump. And for me, I told myself I'd never let that happen again. But I also learned when I stress, I lose hair. So I told myself when I realized that'll never happen again. But with the weekly sessions that I'm aiming to do, I also journal. So I've been journaling this chapter of my life, and I actually have to journal tonight because I have some goals set, because I feel like they're attainable, but also because as Black trans men, we need more representation. And I'll just say one of those goals is to work for Gymshark. So that brand is very inclusive, but I have never seen someone like us on that stage. I'm also into bodybuilding, so I want to participate in classic, but I think I'm just going to thug out men's physique until I build myself up to that level. But yeah, I want to keep journaling. I want to keep my head clear and sound, because I feel like you can function better. I feel like you can function better when your headspace is clear.
I love that. You said more representation in bodybuilding. And I was just looking up, we had a previous guest on the show, episode 21. Episode 21 and 22. Have you listened to it?
No, I'm going to.
Yeah. So
21 and 22.
Yep. So it's part 1 and part 2. So it's Cairo Nevitt. He's in the UK though, but he is doing exactly that. And he is trying to break barriers in professional bodybuilding as a trans athlete. And so he talks about that a lot. His Instagram, he talks about that a lot. So if you check those 2 episodes out, for folks who's listening, who haven't checked those out, really good story. Cairo really has a great story. And so go ahead. Be sure to listen to that.
Try to connect with him to see how over there.
Yeah. And he talks about his challenges in the episode about, folks saying he can't compete because of his trans identity. And so he's trying to navigate all those different things. Right. And so you are a social media influencer. And so fitness and health is something that you promote. And so I've checked out your Instagram. I told you this before we started, you looking good. So I commend you on your wanting to be in the physique fitness competitions. I support you. I got my little pom-poms over here supporting you, man. I see you putting in the work, and definitely putting in the work from going from when you said 90 pounds into what you are now. And so I commend you. And so how are you able to, how is social media, being a social media influencer from the trans experience, how has that been for you?
It's been rocky. Because of the trolling and my inconsistencies. But there's these times where like one video will blow up and there'll be so much love. And then there goes that one person. And then with that one person comes a million of them. But I've learned to pay that no mind. Once again, I keep saying this chapter in my life because I feel like it's necessary. This one is necessary and it's actually very personal for myself. But being a social media influencer, I think was accidental. I just was documenting my transition for myself on a platform that I felt like was appropriate. And it was different from Instagram because I feel like if I would have done what I did on TikTok or Instagram, I don't think the result would have been the same. And I feel like I followed a lot of people. I think that's like my third Instagram, the LaShaun Noel, the 3-1. But I felt like it was, I guess I created like not a boundary, but a disconnect so that I could be comfortable on live when I was wearing my trans tape or just talking about trans related things. Because when you have so many people that can relate and they don't judge you, that's a good feeling versus being on a platform where you have people who watched you grow up. Like, for example, Facebook too. Like, I shared little bits and pieces. I didn't share everything on Facebook, but I have a whole bunch of people that watch me grow up in there. Childhood friends or whoever now, because I don't speak to everybody. But yeah, it's been hard some days and then easy the next, or emotional. But yeah, like it has its perks, but I don't know. I'm 50-50 with it. Like part-time influencing.
Part-time influencing. Hey, so I know there's a lot of people that always got something negative to say, and I like to say success is the best revenge, because a lot of the times them folks that saying negative comments, they ain't doing shit themselves. They sitting on the couch eating goobers and looking a mess. And I won't say that because let me go back. I don't want to say that, right? Because being fit and in the gym is not for everybody. But that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say about the people who want to hate on somebody that's actually doing it. Right. Exactly. When you're not willing to take those steps for you, because if for yourself, and I don't want to fat shame anybody or anything. That's not what I'm doing. That's not my intentions here. What I'm saying is that folks that choose to get courage in their little thumbs and get the type of negativity is folks that aren't taking steps to improve themselves. Is what is the way that I should say it. And what people don't realize is going to the gym every day, eating right, all that. That's hard work. That is hard ass work, and it's not cheap either. Right. You got to get your membership to the gym. Supplements aren't cheap. Certain foods aren't cheap. Right. Workout gear is not cheap. You got your straps, your shoes, you like all this stuff to make yourself look the way that you want to look. I want to tell you, if ain't nobody out of all those hundreds of comments that you got negative, I'm going to give you this one positive one. You looking good and keep doing what you're doing for you. Fuck everybody else. And that's just it, right? I wish that people would stop commenting. My mom always taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If it applies to you, keep it. If it doesn't, scroll on. Mind your damn business. Let it ride, right? Man, it's easier said than done. And I'm not a social media influencer. Even though with this podcast or even with the organization, yes, I might be online, but I'm not here to posting a video every day, right? And I'm not live and I'm not doing all those things because that's not my gift. That's not my mission, right? But people always have something to say, and as long as you doing what you need to do for you to feel good for you and your mental health, man, they can go on, kick rocks. So that's just it. So. And I've learned also too, because like sometimes and even looking at your Instagram, I did kind of look at the comments, and I need to stop doing that for myself. To stop looking at, because then I get pissed off. Like, why the fuck you need to say that? Like, right? Where did that fit in this post, right? And so then now I'm upset for you. So it's like,
the crazy thing is, I delete the negative comments. Like, I was told to stop doing that, but like, nobody wants to see that. And for me, like, I don't know if I'm just the type of person who cares about everybody's energy. because even in my lives, I don't tolerate like negativity. I have probably like more than 10 mods in my lives. So I try to protect the peace of everyone, because like if I'm claiming to be a safe place and space for people, why tolerate it? So yeah.
And it's your profile. You can do whatever the hell you want to do on there. If you don't want negativity on there, you can erase negativity. And if somebody mad that you erase negativity, then that means they was about to be negative too. So you can go on too. Right? Like, man, I wish people would just give hearts like they used to. They don't do the hearts no more, man. People always got to comment. Like, that'd be frustrating me. I don't know if it's just with age, right? Because I didn't grow up in that era. Social media wasn't around when I was a kid, right? And so you 25, and so you in this, right? And you doing this, and you building a career from being on social media, and people not realizing that you letting us into your life, that's a privilege. That's a privilege, and to honor that privilege that I'm able to see you change your clothes, or I'm able to see you work out, or what you're eating, or what. You know what I mean? That's like, that's a privilege. And I want to commend you too for trying to write that goal down about Gymshark. And I used to support Gymshark, actually. I used to buy their stuff. Not to say that anything is wrong with it, but I did the same thing as you saying. I started to realize wasn't too many folks that look like me.
Yeah.
And so, so I started now. I'm gonna put a plug out there, Actively Black. That's who I support now. I don't know if you've heard of their athletic wear. Black owned athletic wear. Check them out. The best stuff I've ever put on my body. And I've tried everything. Nike, Reebok, anything. I've tried all types of stuff. I've had Gymshark before. I've had I can't think of the other name, but I've had all that. But when I put that on my body, I was like, oof, I ain't buying nobody else. So I challenge you to check them out, check their website out, check their gear out. The new Visibility Equals Possibility merch is now here. If you've been a listener of the show for a while, you know that here on Dem Bois Podcast, we believe that visibility equals possibility. And I say it all the time. Now we're introducing a groundbreaking collaboration crafted by Emilio. Emilio was featured on Dem Bois Podcast episode 37. So if you don't know his story or his journey, be sure to go back and listen to episode 37, right? But this isn't just merch. It's a movement. We're empowering trans men of color with creative freedom to design their interpretation of what visibility equals possibility means to them. Think of it like major brands collaborating with athletes and musicians, right? But this time, it's our community taking the center stage. It's great to have trans men of color designing products that represents their community, my community, your community, and that folks feel proud to put on. So be sure to go to the website and check it out. Our website is dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. Every purchase goes to support our vital programs. Is there anything else that you would like to say to folks that are listening about your transition journey that you haven't had the opportunity to say?
I mean, I can say something along the lines of everything isn't a reflection, meaning one person's journey is not yours. To compare yourself to the next man or woman who's transitioning, that's not a seed you want to plant, because you never know what you have that they may not have. And they may have something that you may want, but sometimes that person may be looking at you for what you have. So that's a lesson that I had to learn at the very beginning of my transition, because I was surrounded by trans men, probably like when I was like when I was 3 months plus into my transition, I met a group of guys who basically watched me complain about myself and comparing myself to them. And they basically told me to chill out. But my big brother, Rico, he was the one to tell me that, like, stop comparing yourself. Stop comparing yourself, stop comparing yourself, stop comparing yourself. Because all that's going to do is, one, make you feel bad, and two, when a trans man starts transitioning, I feel like the mental is so impacted in those first couple months, because you can't cry, you can't do anything. Or everybody's different. I couldn't cry. So my outlets were like restricted for a little while. So yeah, don't be hard on yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Don't be hard on yourself. Because I had to grow out of it. And for those listening, you will grow out of that. And it's just beneficial if you love on yourself a little bit more every day.
Yes, and comparison will hinder your own growth.
Mm-hmm.
It will leave you stuck because you're looking at the next person, and that's not your journey. That's theirs. You got your own journey to be on, so you need to go on down your road and leave that other person's road alone, because then you ain't gonna get nowhere, right? I don't want you to be to strive to be like me, and I don't want to strive to be like you. I can comment you and say you look great, but then my journey in the gym is different from your journey in the gym, right? And so we have to learn to be who we are and find our own selves and our own ways and our own paths.
Exactly.
And you keep doing what you're doing because you're an inspiration to somebody else. So somebody else is unfortunately probably going to compare themselves to you. But if that means that somebody takes action on themselves and their body and their health or whatever, then you served your purpose, right?
Right.
But I love that you said that. So don't hinder your own growth by comparing yourself to others. I love that. So this is the part of the show, LaShaun, that I love to ask my guests a random ass question. I got a list of questions here. It's 61 questions now. I'm not going to ask you all of them. I just want to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 61, and I'll read that question to you. But I'm doing something different this time. So I want you to take one and leave one. So you answer one question, and then you leave one for a future guest to answer.
Okay. 3.
Number 3. Let's see.
That's my favorite number.
That's your favorite number, number 3? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 says, what book are you reading right now?
I am currently not reading a book, but I do find myself wanting to read the thesaurus again, because I used to do that, and the dictionary. I want to expand my vocabulary. But I also say that because I find myself stuttering. And I never used to stutter, but I think it's because of concussions. But I think it's time that I just dive back into that habit of reading a book every week or every 2 weeks. Knowledge is power, but also I just want to do stuff other than the gym. I don't even care for a game system. You have to be well-rounded. Everything isn't about, or well-rounded in a sense that fits you or what that looks like to you. So my version of being well-rounded would be gym, reading, art, music, painting, or something like that. But I want to get into things other than the gym.
I've never heard anybody say they want to read the dictionary. That's actually pretty damn good. That's actually good. It might be a boring read, but it's good. Right. I know I used to be in detention all the time. And so we had to take the dictionary when I was in junior high. We had to take the dictionary and we had to sit there for a little 2 hours in detention. And we had to pick a letter, whatever letter of the alphabet, and just write definite words and definitions for them whole 2 hours. So I hated the goddamn dictionary. But that's a good goal, though, for real, because it enhances your vocabulary. I love that. I love that. I want
and then a question for the next person. What was the hardest challenge that you've ever faced? And do you feel like you've grown from it? And I think that's more of like a reflection question. So like, if there was a pattern that had to be broken or a challenge that was faced, what was it? And what did you do to fix it, basically? Because a lot of people have habits, and I know I have habits that I'm working on actively to break. So basically like that in a sense. So what was the problem and what was the solution?
I like that. It's thought provoking. I love it.
Dem Bois, amplifying, transmitting color voices, yeah, we here making noise, making noise, Dem Bois.